for you today. So if you click this video, it's because you want to know how to get to 400 light the most efficient way in Destiny. Well, I'm here today to tell you. I've had a lot of people ask me while I'm doing the hard raid, Blight, how do you get such high light level? What's the best way for me if I'm starting out a new character in Rise of Iron to get to 400 light? I'm like, well, had a lot of people ask me that question, so I'm here with a video guide for you today. Now, if you're an experienced player and you just need to get up a few more light levels, that's okay. You can skip towards the end where I talk about how to make the jump from 390 to 400. But for people that are beginning, let's get started. So when you start the Rise of Iron campaign, you're going to want to clear all the story missions. Let's assume you started a brand new character. Basically, you should be about 320 light, maybe 300. And the blues that drop are going to get you up to about 330. Just play through the campaign like you normally would, with one exception. Eventually, you're going to have to do several things that don't involve missions. They involve you to do patrols. Complete those, save up your legendary marks, make sure you get to the point where you can buy one of the artifacts inside of the Iron Temple. One of these guys right here. Find one that you like. Personally, I like the Memory of Zholder just because it's annoying to have the cooldown penalty for sprint. Another one, which is great, is one where you actually charge your supers faster. I have that on my Warlock because it's a self-reviving character. So while he may not be using his super, he's helping charge everybody else's. So the first thing you're going to want to do on your road to the 400 light level, do the campaign. You'll get to a point eventually where it'll have you run strikes. You'll get upgrades from the strikes. Those blues that drop will be upgrades. However, the blue engrams that you collect, all the blue engrams can get you up to 365, which is great. The thing you should be doing after you complete the campaign, you want to save the 2 Siva keys that it gives you for the raid. You also want to save the 2 treasure keys that it gives you for the raid. You want to save these Siva cache keys. Save these. Once you get to about, you're still trying to get to 365 light, you're going to be running these bad boys right here. The normal Siva crisis, not the Siva, not the heroic, but the normal Siva crisis strike. And you can do that right out of the gate. 320. Very easy. That'll get you up to rewards for 365. The blues that it drops at the end, up to 365. The blue engrams, up to 365. Now, you're probably going to be getting legendary engrams, and those are also going to be upgrades. Those will get you up to 385. So once you get to about 365 light level from doing all the strikes and getting all the blues and the legendaries, the legendary engrams also can go up higher. They can go up to 385. So at that point in time, once you're at 365, you also want to think about doing heroic Siva strikes, because the gear that drops there can go up to 385. You can also collect these bad boys, the enhanced Siva offerings, the green Siva offerings, or even the purple Siva offerings, and you can go to the Archon Forge inside of the Plague Lands and do patrol. That'll also drop items up to 385. However, the items that it will drop are only weapons and armor. The last thing you want to think about doing, especially when you get to 385 or 385 around that area, or once you hit that 365 threshold, is find a group on lfg.net for the Wrath of the Machine raid, for the normal raid. And what you'll want to do is watch some videos online on brief rundowns of how you do the raid and basically what your role should be, because it's a lot of left, right, middle, splitting into 2 teams, throwing Siva Bomb, shooting servitors. There's a lot of little mechanics, but it's very easy to do, and there's a respawn timer. But doing all those things, the legendary engrams, the purple engrams, the heroic Siva strikes, the Archon Forge, and the normal mode, that can all get you up to 385, which is great. Now, along the way, while you're doing all these strikes, you're going to want to do a few things. Every day that you play, you want to make sure you're grabbing your Vanguard bounties. Some of these you don't even have to pay attention to. Just pick them up. Once you complete them, they'll give you materials for upgrading gear. They'll give you... they could give you strange coins, which is great for when you go talk to Xur. You can also... Sorry. But the big thing here with that is, guys, you want to make sure if you get these Vanguard reputation boosters, you use them. So when you're farming the strikes, you're increasing your reputation. These reputation Vanguard packs or New Monarchy, whatever faction you choose, and even PvP. Although I don't really use PvP because I get more luck out of getting the most amount of loot from doing PvE. Ranking these up will get you up to 390 gear. But there's a trick to it. You've got to look at your gear. If you're trying to get to 390, you're trying to break that threshold, and you look at all your gear and you see, what is the weakest piece of my gear? Every pack has a chance to drop a class item and a ghost. So don't worry about your class item or your ghost. Just figure out, outside of that, what is my weakest piece of gear? If it's a weapon, grab a weapon pack. In my case, for example, it's a chest piece. So I would go after armor every single time until I get that higher with the rest of my gear. Now, the nice thing about that, and the bad thing about that. Bad thing about that is sometimes you may not get the piece you're looking for, but sometimes you might get a helmet, or you might get gauntlets, or you might get boots, etc., etc. If you get those high light level pieces, throw them in your stash, because you can use that to infuse your other characters. The best way to grind is to get one character high up, and anything that's less, give those to your other characters. You don't need to waste time grinding multiple characters. Just grind one character. However, I will say this. Once you get to 390 cap, you're going to want to do a couple of things. You're going to want to go onto your other characters. You're going to want to complete the campaign, because not only will it give you the Siva Cash keys, which give you bonus items in the raid, you get another set of loot. You can use those to infuse, but it'll also give you a couple of skeleton keys. Skeleton keys at the end of every strike can be used to give you higher level loot. Now, it's very important you save the keys until you're 390, because the loot in the skeleton that you use with the skeleton keys can go all the way up to 400 light level. So, you want to save these to your 390. How do we get to 390 again? Vanguard rep packages. Grind the strikes. Any packages that you get. House of Wolves. Queen's Wrath. Crota's Bane. Your New Monarchy, Future War Cult. Crucible. All of them. Dead Orbit. They all will get you there. And the Trials of Osiris gold bounties can also get you up to 390. And Gunsmith rep packages can also do 390. So, the light level road to 400. As I said before, these are your friends, the skeleton keys. If you've got one character ready to raid, hard mode, save your keys, use them on hard mode loot. If they're not equal or less, infuse them. If they are, give them to your other characters to increase their light level and give them a big boost. You might have a character that just started out. great. You get a legendary item on him, and you just infuse it up to 390. That just gave him a huge boost. Other things. The Nightfall. Recommended 380. If you're on that road to 400, you're going to want to make sure you're doing this towards the end. There's no reason in trying to fight it hard. Just make sure when you get to this point, you're ready. Maybe I'd say 390. Don't stress yourself out on this. These can be very challenging unless you have a group that coordinates with each other. Some people have said that this is harder than the raid. I feel like that's false. As long as you've got people that can communicate, you're fine. Other things. Archon Forge, funnily enough. I don't think that's a word, but that's okay. The Siva offerings can drop up to 400 light level ghosts, artifacts, and class items. So if ghost, artifact, or a class item is holding you back, that's a good thing to run with your Siva offerings. So, and you can just keep doing them and doing them and doing them. Other things. Crucible legendary drops. If you do your daily Crucible, you can get 15 marks. If you do your weekly Crucible, you can get marks as well. That will give you your rep. Again, with those, the packages are the same. They'll only give you up to 390 loot. However, something else very important to grab. You go to Shaxx and you pick up the weekly Crucible bounty. He'll have one red bounty. That's the guy that sells the PvP armor. And get that. And when you complete this, it'll give you a random reward up to 400 light. So that is another way you can do it. Iron Banner post-game drops can be up to 400. If you're doing Trials of Osiris, the gear that drops there can be up to 400. And your Iron Lord bounties. If you do these, sometimes they have a chance. Apparently, although I've never seen it, to give you up to 400 loot gear. But I would do this last because this is very unreliable. But if it's something you're doing every week, just pick them up, because just by playing the game, you'll inevitably complete them. Guys, that's it. So, get out there, game on, give the Wrath of the Machine a run for its money. Obviously, once you get to 390, you want to try and run the hard raid with as many characters as you possibly can. And remember, focus on one character, get the gear for it, and then up your light level. And that's how you will be able to see that you've got a higher light level than most of your friends on your friends list. Thank you, and as always, have a great day.